Hello, today we are going to talk about sales operations versus running sales, being the head of sales.
Welcome back to Sales Operations for Small Businesses.
I've been asked many times, why don't I just run a sales team? Because I already know all of this stuff. And I'm only ever asked that by people who have either never run a sales team before or never done sales operations. And that's because they truly don't understand the difference. And to be very, very brief about it, running the sales team is about numbers and people. Running sales operations is about a system, a structure, is things that underpin the efforts of others. It makes things easier. It creates a firm foundation so that they can run really fast, right? Because if I've said it before, I'll say it again, sales operations is about reducing friction in order to increase sales. It's not about directly being involved in the selling. Being a head of sales, I'm of the opinion that a lot of people get promoted to be a manager because they've simply aged out of the job that they were in. They've gotten too good at the job that they were in, and then they've been given responsibilities over other people, despite the fact that some of them don't have managerial skill. And that makes things difficult for the other people who have to pick up the other parts of their job that they just don't do. Or it makes it difficult for the people who report to them because they're not being managed and they're not being led properly. And a head of sales is a lot of times involved in selling. They're in the executive leadership team. The selling that they're involved in is usually to help bring in the big guns that other people own, right? Because they generally don't own their own clients. In a small company, they might, but ideally, they'll be there as the executive person in the room to be able to help to secure a big deal. And they're also, in a small company, there to help with the selling for investors. Selling is everywhere. It's everywhere, right? And that's what they're really good at. And that's not the same as sales operations. Sales operations also involves a lot of selling, but again, it's about the system and the structure. And you'll find that a lot of people who are the head of sales or CRO, Chief Revenue Officer, they don't like systems. They don't like to be bound by anything, and they don't like structure. Right up until the point when they realize that not having a system or a structure is the reason why the people that work for them aren't performing very well, and then they want it to exist, but it's something that they themselves, when they were in that role, wouldn't have wanted to follow. And this is where the problems come. I'm not a head of sales. I have managed salespeople before in some capacity for periods of time. I don't enjoy it. I personally find it boring. And boring doesn't mean that there isn't a lot to do. Boring just means that the activities involved in that role don't speak to me. They don't bring me joy. They don't give me energy. They just feel like tasks. And I feel like I'm good at it, but only good at it. There's no possibility for me to be great at it because I don't enjoy it at all, right? But there's this rub where, and again, in a small company where lots of things tend to overflow onto different people, it's very, very easy for a head of sales to see themselves as somebody who's just involved in the selling. They end up seeing themselves as being a senior salesperson, and that's it, not realizing that they have ultimate authority over the sales team and therefore need to make internal decisions and not be at the front line of everything. Because it's very, very easy. If you're really good at sales, right, and then you become more and more senior, if you're now in a position where your bonuses, your commissions or whatever are the result of the whole sales team, not you individually, so you do want to support them, right, but you don't own any of the individual clients, you own the team, you have so much more freedom in that, right? So I can see why it's really, really enjoyable. The thing is that there's so much authority and so much responsibility and so much organization that comes with owning that team, being responsible and being accountable for that team, being able to look at that team and seeing where they need training, seeing where your weak points are, seeing if the structure needs to be updated, working with your sales operations department to make sure that the house is sturdy. Because the head of sales is looking after the people, but the head of sales operations department is looking after the house. It's the connecting bits, it's the pipes, it's all of that stuff, right? And again, that's why there's different jobs for different people. If you want to run a sales team, go ahead. But sales operations is about that structure. It is about reducing friction. And that isn't usually, not always, but it's not usually a head of sales this person's main skill. If you want that kind of power, go for that kind of role. Trying to get it from this way around, not impossible. I've never seen it be done, that somebody was a sales operations person and became the head of sales. I've never seen it be done, but that doesn't mean it's impossible. It's just usually it doesn't go that way around. So the roles are distinct. There can be some overlap. There's unfortunately sometimes situations where, because the head of sales is too involved in immediate selling, that they end up treating sales operations as their own personal assistant. And that is something, I will do another video about that, but that is something that you'll need to be aware of, because it's so very easy to just help somebody out for a second. And then all of a sudden people start losing respect for you because they just see you as somebody that sweeps up after other people. But like I say, there'll be another podcast episode, another video about that. So there's some of the differences between running sales ops or being a part of sales ops and running a sales department. They're for different things. They are different things. And it's very, very easy when you're in sales ops to, in both directions, want to just, I'll just do it because this person's not paying any attention. I'll just make the decision on this thing that affects the whole team because the leader of the sales team is not paying enough attention. But you shouldn't. You do not have authority to do that. And if you take the authority and then it goes wrong, then it's all on you, because that's when the head of sales will then go, well, you should have asked me. Why didn't you come to me? You're not supposed to be making decisions like that. And look what's happened. It doesn't matter the fact that you tried to ask them 15 times. It's very, very easy to just want to just take the authority and just get things done, because it's simpler than trying to get a hold of this person that's just out selling all the time, where they should be spending part of their time being the leader of the whole department. And then you can find yourself in another situation where, because you don't have the authority, you're stuck and you don't make decisions at all. So you need to, as a head of sales ops, as somebody who's in sales ops, find that balance between you and the other person. You know, ask them directly, how do you like to be communicated with? Because there's certain things that I do not have authority over that I need to get authority. I need to get the decision-making from you. And I can tell you what my opinion is, but I ultimately need your green light. Being very, very clear with them. When things like that happen, how do you want me to get a hold of you? And get them to answer you. Because just tiptoeing around it is actually going to give you so much stress, and they won't care. In most cases. Not all. People are becoming more evolved, but they won't care. So I hope you found that helpful. If you do have any questions, please join me on Tuesdays. I have a free Q&A session. If you go to salesopseffect.com, salesopseffect.com, you'll find a little link there to register, and then I will send you the link to the, it'll be a Zoom link, usually, beforehand, so that you know when it is. But the time does change a little bit, so do come along. It is a free session, and you can just ask whatever works. I'm somebody who processes by speaking, so that might help you too. So please do come along, and I look forward to seeing you there.